Hello, I am a sociology student and today I will share my little knowledge on Indology. What is Indology? What is its origin and its methodology? Indology is a way to understand Indian society in an Indian way, not in a Western way. And that way is learning the ancient texts, scriptures of India. Because if we want to learn about the institution of the Indian institutions like caste, family, religion, we will need to understand it through the ancient texts and scriptures. And these scriptures are like Puranas, Puran, script, Upanishad, Smriti, Vedas, and great epics like Mahabharata and Ramayana. And famous scripture Manusmriti. Through this book, we understand the caste hierarchy of that time and marriage rules also. And through Mahabharata and Ramayana, we not understand only great epics, but also a sociological, but also a society of that time, the duties that are prevalent that time. We say that Indology is a idealistic way. Indology is idealistic in orientation. Why? Because we give supremacy to ideas, norms, and values over materialistic things, over economics, because India is a society where ideas, values, norms have more supremacy. Like caste division. Caste division is not on the basis of economy, not on the basis of occupation, but on the basis of the but on the basis of the status that is acquired to different caste in the society. Similarly, if we cut. Now we will see the relation of the Indology with Orientalist tradition. Now, what is Orientalist tradition? Orientalist tradition is a way by cut. Now we will see its relation with Orientalist tradition. Indology is closely linked with Orientalist tradition. Why? Now, to understand this, we need to understand what is Orientalist tradition. Orientalist tradition is started by European scholars to understand Indian society through by understanding the texts. Their aim is not to understand India but to better administer India, because this is all started by Asiatic Society of Bengal stabilization by Britishers in India to understand the Indian text, to understand the Indian society, to better administer India. So in this process, Max Muller have a very high seat in Orientalist tradition, and Sir William Jones also is very famous in this tradition. In this tradition, this this approach says that to understand India, text should be learned, texts should be understood, scriptures should be understood. Cut. Ready. This section, no. This approach is used by great Indian sociologist G.S. Ghurye. he uses this approach but in a different way. He uses this or approach, that is learning the text to understand the society, to in a pride way, that to understand India, to to understand India in a way that gives pride to us about India. Cut. No, we are talking about G.S. Ghurye. G.S. Ghurye used this approach to understand Indian society in a way which gives pride, national pride, which in which we understand its civilization, how India magnificent, cut, to reclaim, that how G.S. Ghurye used this approach to understand Indian society, but in a slightly different way, not to administer India, but to give national pride about India, to make us understand that how better is Indian civilizations, how its culture is different, how its tradition is good. So now key thinkers in the Indological approach are G.S. Ghurye and Louis Dumont. G.S. Ghurye used the Sanskrit text to understand the Indian society and Indian literature to analyze the caste, family, and religion. And Louis Dumont also Louis Dumont also continued this legacy and wrote a very famous book, Homo Hierarchus, in which he argued that Indian society was structured around the values of hierarchy, rooted in religious traditions. Both the thinkers lay stress on textual understanding in to understand the society better. Now we will see the assumptions in this approach. The assumption is that the assumption cut. Now we will see the methodological features. What are the sources in this approach? Sources, as we have seen in this whole video, that sources are texts, scriptures, ancient texts. And what is the objective of this tradition? Objective is to understand the Indian society, which gives to understand the Indian society, which helps in understanding the Indian institutions like family, caste. And what is the assumption in this? That Indian society through its moral universe. Some positives of the some positives of the Indological approach that this is the first way, this is the first Indian way to understand Indian society, and some negatives are that it does not give some any voice to subaltern people of India. Like in the Indological approach, we only see ancient texts which are mainly in Sanskrit, and Sanskrit is not a language of common people of that time. So we are not giving any value to subaltern people. We will not see any major we we not see any major women perspective in this approach. But yes, through this approach we understand India in a better way.